What if the United States wasn't one country, but 50 separate ones? And suddenly, a major war begins. No external support, no import, no fuel deliveries. Just individual states, forced to survive on their own. So which states would actually survive? Today, we're breaking down 10 states that could actually fight back, and the answer might surprise you. The strongest isn't Alaska, and it's not even California. Let's begin. Washington spans roughly 71,000 square miles in the northwestern United States, and at first glance, it operates like a complete system. Military strength is already in place. Joint Base Lewis McChord anchors ground operations, while Kitsap Naval Base hosts a fleet of nuclear submarines, giving Washington strategic reach far beyond its coastline. But here's the bigger picture. Survival in a modern war isn't just about military strength. It's about systems working together. Energy, food, production, geography, and military. If even one of these breaks, the entire system starts to weaken. And that's how we'll look at every state. Washington is one of the most advanced industrial hubs in the country. Boeing manufactures aircraft and defense systems, while a $600 billion economy is driven by global technology leaders like Microsoft and Amazon. That combination creates not just wealth, but capability. Energy holds steady through massive hydropower generation from the Grand Coulee Dam, supplying electricity at scale. Food production adds another layer. Wheat, apples, dairy, and fisheries allow Washington to sustain its population without immediate external pressure. Then comes geography. The Pacific Ocean forms a natural barrier on one side, while the Cascade Mountains divide the state internally, slowing movement and creating defensive depth. Washington doesn't rely on a single advantage. It combines military presence, industrial strength, energy production, and food supply into one system. Pennsylvania spans roughly 46,000 square miles in the northeastern United States. Military presence is spread across the state, supported by a large National Guard and a network of defense contractors. Shipbuilding in Philadelphia adds another layer, giving Pennsylvania the ability to support naval infrastructure as well. With an economy of over $800 billion, Pennsylvania still holds onto a strong industrial core. Heavy manufacturing and logistics networks give it the ability to produce, repair, and sustain operations over time. Energy reinforces that system. Pennsylvania is one of the largest natural gas producers in the country, backed by coal reserves and nuclear power, creating a stable, multi-source supply. Agriculture completes the structure. Dairy, corn, and livestock production allow the state to sustain its population internally, even under pressure. Geography adds depth. The Appalachian Mountains create natural defensive barriers, while rivers provide transport routes and strategic movement. Pennsylvania doesn't rely on one advantage. It distributes strength across multiple systems: energy, industry, food, and geography. Ohio covers roughly 45,000 square miles in the eastern United States. Military logistics are at the core. Wright-Patterson Air Force Base acts as one of the most important coordination and support hubs in the country, keeping operations connected and moving. But Ohio's real strength is industrial. This is America's manufacturing heartland. Steel production, automotive plants, and heavy industry give it the ability to build and repair equipment internally. Not just once, but continuously. With an economy of around $700 billion, this isn't just production. It's sustained capacity. Agriculture reinforces that system. Corn, soybeans, dairy, and livestock allow Ohio to support its population without immediate external reliance. Geography adds another layer. Lake Erie forms a natural northern barrier while providing a critical freshwater resource, strengthening both defense and logistics. Ohio doesn't rely on one advantage. It keeps systems running: production, logistics, food, and movement. North Carolina spans roughly 54,000 square miles along the southeastern United States. It hosts one of the largest concentrations of military personnel in the country, anchored by Fort Liberty, the largest base by population, supported by a network of Air Force installations across the state. This is a system designed to respond fast. With an economy exceeding $600 billion, North Carolina adds economic stability to that military strength, with growing tech and industrial sectors supporting long-term capability. Agriculture reinforces the system. Poultry, pork, and crops allow the state to sustain its population even under pressure. Geography completes the picture. The Atlantic Ocean forms a natural boundary on one side, while the Appalachian Mountains rise on the other, creating a layered defensive landscape that makes direct access more complex. North Carolina doesn't dominate a single system, it positions them. Military readiness, food supply, geographic defense. Virginia spans roughly 43,000 square miles along the eastern United States. This is where modern wars are coordinated. The Pentagon sits here, the central command of the U.S. military, directing operations across land, sea, air, and space. Just south, Norfolk Naval Base, the largest naval base in the world, anchors global maritime power. Around it, a network of Air Force and Marine installations, including Langley and Quantico, creates a dense concentration of operational command. With an economy of over $550 billion, Virginia is deeply tied to defense. Military contracts, infrastructure, and coordination systems keep operations running at scale. Geography adds another layer. The Chesapeake Bay cuts deep into the state, creating complex access routes that slow movement and complicate any direct approach. Virginia doesn't operate like a standalone system. It operates like a control center. And in a modern conflict, while others focus on holding ground, Virginia shapes how the entire battlefield moves. Alaska spans over 660,000 square miles, larger than Texas, California, and Montana combined. It isn't just big, it's distant. This is one of the most remote regions on Earth. Distance alone separates it from the rest of the system, but Alaska doesn't depend on connection. It produces massive oil and natural gas reserves that give it a level of energy independence that few states can match. It doesn't wait for supply, it generates its own. Military presence supports that position, with installations like Joint Base Elmendorf-Richardson anchoring operations in the region. Food comes differently here. A strong fishing industry provides a steady and reliable source of supply from surrounding waters. But Alaska's real advantage is geography. Extreme cold, rugged terrain, vast, open distance. Movement here isn't fast, it's slow, difficult, expensive, and its sheer size creates something no other state has. In a modern war, the challenge isn't just entering Alaska, it's surviving it. Florida stretches across roughly 65,000 square miles, a narrow peninsula pushing deep into the Atlantic and the Gulf. Its position defines everything. Start with presence: MacDill Air Force Base, Naval Air Station Jacksonville, Patrick Space Force Base, and Cape Canaveral. This isn't one installation, it's a network. Air, naval, space. Layered across the entire state. An economy of over $1.2 trillion, one of the largest in the country, supports continuous operations, logistics, and movement. Food adds stability. Citrus, vegetables, and sugar. Enough to sustain a large population internally. Then geography takes over. Florida is surrounded by water on three sides. Any large-scale approach doesn't come by land, it comes by sea. Slower, more visible, easier to track. Florida doesn't just defend its position, it extends it. Across the Atlantic, across the Gulf. This is not a closed system, it's a forward platform. And in a modern war, the state that controls movement at the edge controls how the fight expands. California stretches across roughly 164,000 square miles along the western United States. This is the largest economy in the country, nearly $4 trillion, larger than most nations. That scale alone changes the equation. Military power is layered across the state. Naval bases in San Diego, Edwards Air Force Base, marine installations, and a massive National Guard. This is not a single force. It's distributed strength. But California's defining advantage is not military. It's supply. This is America's food factory. Fruits, vegetables, dairy, and nuts, produced at a scale that doesn't just sustain the state, it sustains entire systems beyond it. Geography reinforces that dominance. The Pacific Ocean protects the entire western edge, while the Sierra Nevada mountains create a natural wall inland. Layered defense, without building it. California doesn't depend on one system. It overwhelms with many. Economy, food, military, geography, all operating at scale. Texas spans roughly 268,000 square miles, one of the largest and most resource-rich states in the United States. Energy is where it begins. Texas is the largest oil producer in the country, backed by massive natural gas reserves and a rapidly growing base of wind and solar power. It doesn't just meet demand, it drives it. Agriculture reinforces that system. Cattle, cotton, grain, and crops. Production at scale allows Texas to sustain its population without immediate reliance on external supply. Military infrastructure is distributed across the state. Fort Hood, Fort Bliss, multiple Air Force bases, and Naval Air Station Corpus Christi. This isn't a centralized force, it's operational depth. An economy of over $2 trillion, the second largest in the country, supports continuous production, logistics, and movement. Geography completes the system. Size creates space, distance absorbs pressure, and access to the Gulf Coast provides mobility, trade routes, and strategic reach. Now, if we bring everything together and compare all these states side by side, they fall into this order. And number one? There isn't one. Because every state has its own limitations. Even giants like Texas and California would eventually slow down. Because modern warfare isn't powered by one advantage. It's powered by networks. Alaska has fuel, but much of its food comes from beyond its borders. California can build advanced technology, but it depends on materials sourced from outside. Texas can produce massive amounts of energy, but still relies on complex manufacturing systems. This is purely a scenario-driven analysis, based on geography and systems, not a real-world proposal. The reality is simple. The true strength of these states doesn't come from standing alone. It comes from standing together. Because unity creates integration. States supply each other. Industries support each other. Military forces operate as one coordinated system. Break that network, and even the strongest states begin to weaken. Keep it intact, and those limits fade away. If you enjoyed this video, hit the like button, subscribe, and stay tuned for the next story on GeoMap Unveiled.